Welcome to video 3, where we're going to be diving into the 3-phase transformation to finding your purpose. This is something that I have outlined with the intention of creating a path that will naturally lead to transformation and naturally bring you to your purpose. So the 3 phases include phase 1 being personal development and self-discovery, phase 2 being relational dynamics, and phase 3 is vision and time integration. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on how these phases play out, what they mean, and what role they play in your own evolution and progression through your purpose. So at phase 1, when you're just beginning, when you're beginning to question what your purpose is, when you're looking for your purpose, the key thing first is to get to understand yourself. Purpose can only come through self-awareness, self-understanding. And a lot of people have this misunderstanding that purpose is out there, that you have to go out and find it, that you have to go and explore and try new things out. And that can be helpful, but if you're not consciously engaging in activities for self-discovery, for realizing whether something resonates with your true self, if you're not doing that, it's going to take you a while to find your purpose. So I say skip all of the struggle and get straight to the core, which is get straight to yourself. Introspect, self-reflect, and think. And if you don't know yourself, then begin to do that. So one of the main things that I will always recommend is that if you're just beginning your journey in finding your purpose, then the first thing you should do is look into personality tests. Take all the different kinds of tests that are out there, whether it be Myers-Briggs, Hexaco, the Enneagram, the Big Five. All of those psychological assessments will be of immense help. If you haven't done it, you can just click off this video right now, go to any of these tests, take them for like 15 minutes and see your results. And you will be surprised by how accurate or how helpful this information can be. This is really the first step to gaining a deeper understanding of who you are, because you get a deeper understanding of how your psyche operates. Even knowing that the way you perceive the world is different than the way other people perceive the world can be a game changer, because then that gets you closer to understanding your own uniqueness. And a lot of the times, these personality tests will point you to certain places that will most likely be a good fit for your personality. When I decided to go to college and decided on a major, I actually used personality tests to determine what I would be a good fit for. And within that was engineering. And it turned out that I was pretty good at engineering because I was a logical thinker, analytical thinker, and I also enjoyed math. And that was just the first step that got me closer to what I was really meant to do. So what I would recommend is take all the tests and then look for correlations between all of these results that you get. And then you will get a bigger picture of who you are, how you operate, what your tendencies are. Maybe it can push you towards understanding what your passions are, what you're good at. And when we're talking about even the model of Ikigai, you can parallel or compare and contrast your results to the map. You can begin to hypothesize and begin to envision yourself going into certain areas and trying to connect the dots between all of the 4 different diagrams. And something that I want to point out also is that when it comes to your personality test, know that if you don't have a high level of development just within yourself or a high level of self-understanding, then these personality tests can be a little skewed in the sense that you might be answering questions and you might be contradicting yourself a lot. And that's completely fine. I think regardless, they will serve a purpose because they will bring awareness to certain traits such as introversion or openness or even patience. These different things will help you gain a deeper understanding of how the overall psyche can operate. And this is kind of like a lesson in psychology. So as you learn more about this, you have the opportunity, regardless of whether it's completely accurate or inaccurate, you get you get the opportunity to explore these concepts around psychology, and that will just help you in getting to know yourself. The next thing that I would recommend, once you have gone through understanding yourself through personality tests, I would go more esoteric and go into astrology, numerology, or even tarot. These tools are divination tools that will help you understand who you are at the soul level, who you are before you were born. These are spiritual tools, so they don't operate based on psychology, they operate more so on intuition. They're ancient and they come more from a higher understanding of the universe, the way the universe operates. I at first was very skeptical about astrology in my journey, but one time I had a reading from a psychic and she pointed out that astrology might be very beneficial for me as it was something that my soul was called to. And I just took a look at it and I realized that it actually was pretty accurate in the sense that this was also around the time where I was learning about psychology. So I was able to make some comparisons between Jungian psychology and astrology. And then lo and behold, I discovered that Carl Jung was actually using astrology for his patients. So he would use it to get to know his patients a lot better and figure out where they're at and also help them proceed in their own healing process. So when I discovered that, then I just went all in into astrology. I just studied my chart for hours on hours. And that was one of the first steps for me in figuring out also myself from a spiritual dimension. It really encapsulated all the different dimensions of my personality. And when I got deeper into it, to things such as esoteric astrology, then I got an understanding, which was that astrology can operate from a soul level, but also from a personality level, which was something that I was guessing because I was also making the comparison between shadow work, where you can have your shadow operating at a low frequency, or you can have that same shadow become a gift through healing at a high frequency. So I was really juggling in between these two things, between psychology, which included personality tests and also Jungian psychology, and astrology and spirituality, which included all the other things such as numerology. So right here, what I want you to understand is that taking a synthesizing approach is really the goal here. It's not about sticking to one tool and making that your one solution, the thing that will define who you are or define your spiritual journey. What I am encouraging here is for you to keep an open mind, explore personality tests, explore spirituality, find the things that resonate with you, but at least dip your toes into each and every one of them so that you know the tools that you have available to you and you can then choose whether they serve you or not. And I will also mention that this is kind of the beginning. In summary, what you just need to do when you're in phase one is you need to focus on developing yourself, whether that be through practices such as meditation, journaling, self-reflection, and shadow work, but also through different tools such as personality tests, astrology, or other divination tools that can be found in spirituality. Focusing on using these two different things, incorporating practices and tools into your journey will speed up the process at a very high degree. And the goal here in this phase is to develop self-awareness and self-understanding, getting to know your weaknesses, getting to know your strengths, getting to know the things that you're passionate about, getting to know the things that may be holding you back, maybe your traumas, the things that you need to clean up within yourself, the things that you need to harmonize within yourself. All of this is essential to finding your purpose, because the more you get to understand yourself, the more clear you become, even when looking at the Venn diagrams presented by Ikigai. As you get to know yourself, you can actually put specific things that fit those roles within the graph, within the model, and you can start to make those connections between them. So moving on to phase two, is where we get to talk about relational dynamics. So Once you get a clear understanding of who you are, you will get to a place where you want to go out into the world and you want to express this new version of yourself, this more developed, mature, and understanding version of yourself. When that happens, this is where you get to see your purpose play out at a larger scale, whether that be a one-to-one thing or a one-to-many thing. This is really coming from an understanding that there's a large spectrum of purpose. The spectrum of purpose is something that I found because I found that purpose did not just encapsulate a single individual being deciding what career they're meant to have and how they're supposed to make their money. I found that there's an actual spectrum of going from individual to the many. So within the spectrum of purpose, we see that the first point is the immediate and personal purpose. We're talking about understanding your day-to-day intentions and the tasks that align with your personal values and your short-term goals. And then next follows interpersonal relationships, focusing on the role relationships play in shaping and expressing your purpose, considering your family, your friends, colleagues, and significant others. The next would be professional purpose, aligning one's career and professional activities with a broader purpose, leveraging personal strengths in a work environment, being of service to others. The next would be community engagement, identifying how one can contribute to the community in meaningful ways that resonate with their deeper purpose. Next is ethical and moral purpose, understanding and living by a set of ethical guidelines that reflect one's values and contribute to a sense of purposeful living. Next, we're talking about global and environmental impact, recognizing one's impact on the global community and environment, striving to make choices that support sustainable and ethical practices worldwide. Then we're talking about existential and universal purpose, where we're contemplating existential questions about life's meaning and one's role in the universe, exploring spiritual or philosophical beliefs that guide life's larger purpose. And finally, we're talking about legacy and long-term vision. This is where we begin talking about creating a vision for the impact one wants to have over a lifetime, considering how they will be remembered and what contributions they will leave behind for the generations to come. Looking at the spectrum of purpose, we see that purpose is not just a single immediate individual thing. Purpose can extend through a wide variety of circumstances and relational dynamics, including one-to-one relationships, one-to-many, one to the earth, one to the cosmos, and one past even one's lifetime. So understanding that is really going to be the basis behind phase 2, so that you can then begin to see how you can become a more complete human being, being able to have a strong understanding of your purpose within the whole spectrum, not just one side of it. We're talking about going all in, feeling the whole color, the whole rainbow, and being able to be in alignment, to harmonize those aspects of your life. And I also just want to mention the fact that as you connect yourself and as you develop yourself, you gain a greater ability to love, you gain compassion, you gain empathy, and that will naturally lead you to want to bridge your purpose to others, how you can serve others in a loving way, in a caring way, not just for your self-gain, for achievements, for accolades, for money, but more so for impact, for influence, for legacy, for a better future. And this is why phase 2 is phase 2, because you first have to learn about yourself and develop yourself where you actually have the capacity to think in that way. And then after that has been understood, we will be going into phase 3, which is vision and time integration. And this is something that I thought about because a lot of the time people think about purpose in terms of the long term, but also the short term. What I've found in my life has been the fact that being on purpose can be just being present. And the power that presence brings into your life is insane. It's transformative. When you're able to be present, a lot of your potential becomes actualized. It comes through you. The resistance that you carry, the doubts, the fears, etc., that you carry about yourself just become bypassed. They become broken. They become transcended because you are connected to the moment. You are living your authentic life. You are being who you truly are in the now. You are bringing your soul into reality. So all of these things that I listed are expressions of the state of being one with the moment. And Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, was really the starting point for me when it came to this concept, because when I started to take in the concepts from the book and applying them to my life, I realized how important it was to be present. And then that also led me to make the connection on masculinity, how presence is really what attracts a woman into a man's life. Presence is what makes a man keep his frame, be able to interact, to be direct, to speak his truth, to go after the things that he wants, to pursue the things that he desires. That's what presence does. And that is just a small expression of what presence can do. But there's that, right? There is that immediate purpose. But there's also the long-term purpose. And this is something I feel like a lot of people think about and emphasize a lot. I feel like a lot of people kind of push away or don't even know the power of immediate purpose, of understanding what you are creating in the moment. And the reason being because they don't have a good understanding of their self. They don't have a good understanding of mindfulness, the power of mindfulness. But anyways, long-term vision is what really gets people. People want to have a purpose for their future. They want to know what they're going to be doing 10, 20 years down the line, how they're going to achieve their greatest dreams, and how that's going to be a byproduct of being on their purpose. So in phase 3, we're really going to go deeper into how to navigate both of these different time frames and how we can connect them in a way that will allow us to be both present but also clear in knowing where we're headed, knowing what the vision is, knowing the impact we're going to have over our lifetime. So right now, reflecting on these 3 phases, I want you to understand that purpose is a multi-dimensional thing. It's something that cannot just be narrowed down to a single thing. And I hope that you're getting that idea now. You know, purpose can be broken down in terms of development, how developed you are in your self-understanding. It can also be broken up through relational dynamics. How is your purpose connected to yourself, also in relation to others, also in relation to the earth, also in relation to the universe? That's when we're really starting to get deeper into the different variations of purpose, right? And then finally, phase 3 shows that purpose can stretch and also can be constricted based on the perspective that we want to take on, based on the time frame that we want to look at it from. If we're looking at it from an immediate perspective, then when we're talking about purpose, we're really talking about presence. And when we're looking at it from a long-term perspective, when we're talking about purpose, we're really talking about vision. And so then the course will then have the necessary modules within those phases that will lead to the transformation that phase is meant to provoke. But that's it for this video. And next, we're going to be looking into the developmental side of purpose, really just showing the general models so that you can begin to start to use these developmental models from psychology and begin to gain a deeper sense of self.